All right, so we're getting started here. Everything that you can do as an admin or everything that you can ask your D3M account admin to do. So we're going to dig right into it today. Going to d3mnetworks.com, as always, that's how you get started. You simply go to the login near the top right of the screen there, and that's where you enter your username, your email address, and your password. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So this is the same for whether you're a user on the account or you have admin privileges. Either way, you get started the same way. You jump into the D3M account here. And either way, you're always going to see the D3M Projects page when you sign in. So this is where all your projects are listed. We've discussed this, I think, several times before in past webinars, but this is where all your projects are found. You can easily sort through them, search for anything really. And by anything, I mean as granularly as a serial number on a device or anything like that. So just keep in mind everything, whether you have hundreds or thousands of projects here, you can find everything very easily. And then, of course, you normally click this New Project button to get started on a new project. Now, whether you jump into a project here or you just stay here on the projects page, as an admin, you're always going to have this option in the top right corner. There's a drop-down menu here. Top right corner, you will see here, if you were just, if you don't have admin privileges, what you would see here is just the user settings. You would see this option, user settings. But if you have admin privileges, you would also see admin settings. Okay, so first I'll just quickly show you user settings. This is something that everybody sees. This is simply where you can change your name, your email address, your phone number, that kind of information. Okay, so you have access to this. You can change your password right here. That's where you do that kind of thing. And that is just on a user by user basis. Okay, now if I go back to that drop down menu and go to admin settings, that's what we're going to focus on today. So I'll click there. So notice when I go to the admin settings, you see a navigation bar up top here that looks a bit different than what you would normally see when entering a D3M project. This is what we're going to focus on today, is these different sections. We're looking at 6 different sections, starting with settings. So in the settings tab, the first thing you see here is you can see I already have my logo uploaded here. This was one of the first things I did when I set up my account, and I put my name. So basically the name of our company is what I mean by that. I put the name of our company. I set the share permissions on this account, and the share permissions, this is the way it shows up by default, is that the default organization share permission is disabled. That means that every project you create, anyone on your team, imagine you're on a 5-user D3M subscription. There are 5 of you that use D3M. If this were changed to something else, can view, can edit, or can edit and share, that is what every single person on your organization, on your team, would experience. They would see basically every project that is ever created by any of your users. So if you want that kind of functionality, you can change your D3M account to function in that way. So everything would be shared with everyone by default. This stuff, I'm going to move on to the next setting here, but again, I just want to remind you, if you have any questions, write questions in the chat there, in the Zoom chat, and we'll get to your questions. Okay, if there's anything I say here that maybe doesn't make sense, go ahead and ask a question. So as I was saying, I already have my logo here too. So I went ahead with the default sharing permission here. I put my company name in, and I put my logo. This stuff, by the way, when you create sales proposals or statements of work, whatever document you're creating, these things, these settings on your account are going to show up there automatically. Your logo will show up automatically. The name of your company will show up automatically. So that's why it's important to set this stuff up. Then this one is a feature that I think some of you will find interesting and some of you might not know exists. Application branding. this is an option to change the app, to change D3M, the look and feel of it, by making this D3M logo that I'm pointing to in the top left corner, change that to your logo. And you can change the color scheme of the D3M app, the way it looks, to your colors. So I'll just quickly show you how that works. For example, this logo, I can click or I can drag and drop an image to here, but I'll just go ahead and click it. And you'll see that on my desktop, on my computer here, I have a Teldio logo, for example. Okay, so I'll just select that, and then it's going to upload here. Okay, so great. I'll say something very quickly here that my logo has, it's a transparent PNG, meaning that the background is transparent. And what's happening here is it's showing you what the logo will look like on this color in the background. So we'll explore that more in just 1 minute. But there's my logo, and I can even go as far as editing not just this logo here, but the little icon on the tab here in my browser window. So that's called a Favicon. I can go ahead and change that. So I'm going to click here. Again, and on my desktop, on my computer, I have this square Favicon that I can use. So I'm going to open that up. And that'll load right here. It shows quite big, but there it is, and this is now going to start showing over here. I'm just going to quickly refresh my page, and you're going to see that change. Or at least you should. I should warn you that these changes sometimes take a few minutes. But yeah, there it is. You can see I am now seeing my icon on the tab, and I'm seeing my logo here. You can tell that the background color for this logo, it's not ideal right now. So let's focus on the colors here for a second. I have a document with my company colors in the hex code format here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, for example, this green color, and I'll go back here. Notice if I were to put this in as my primary color, notice first of all that I have 3 options here: primary color, secondary color, and then the brand bar color, so the bar along the top. And that's the bar along the top for the users, for any users using D3M on your account. So when you go into a project, you'll see that bar along the top is the color that you define here. So let's go ahead and turn this to green. You'll notice that if I do it down here on the bar color, sorry for all the clicking, then this here will give me a new preview. Notice that I have a new problem here, that the background color and the part of this logo are the same color. So I just want to get you thinking about, if you use this, the application branding feature, just give it some thought and play around with the colors. So in my case, I'm probably going to go with this darker gray here, copy it, put it on there and perhaps here, and I'll go get that green color again, and I'll put it here. And then I'll refresh my page. Again, as I said, it sometimes takes a minute or two, but we'll see what we get here. So this bar is now going to that green that I had a moment ago. If I were to refresh again, I would see perhaps the black in a minute. And another thing to check is to go to a project, like let's go to that all projects page. I'm going to open this in a new tab. What we're going to start doing is looking at what things look like for all the users on your account versus what it looks like here in the admin area in the back. So notice that now in this area, I'm seeing the Teldio logo with a dark bar along the top, but in the back end, I see the green bar along the top. So different look and feel of the admin settings versus the normal user experience for everybody else on your account. Anyway, so check those things, play around with it. You have the options here to do whatever you want with these colors, and you also have this quick and easy way of restoring the defaults. So if I click Restore Defaults, once again, I'd refresh my page, and what's going to happen is we should get the D3M logo again, D3M logo, and colors will return to normal. This icon here, if I wanted to remove it, I can just click here and remove the icon, so then I end up with the D3M favicon in the tab there in my internet browser again. So you can easily restore in that way. So just wanted to spend a little time on that. You can see how you can customize the look and feel of D3M on your account. Now, some other things I'll just go through a bit quicker, and again, feel free to ask questions there. Amanda and I will do our best to answer those. The next section you'll see, again, remember we're under the first tab here, settings. The next section you see is statuses. So when you set up a new account, remember, I'll just go back to the tab here. If I click on New Project, when I start a new project, remember that you have this option here. After entering the customer name and the project name, you have this option to select a status on this account. Very useful. Often if you're just getting started on a project, you probably set it to pre-sales, then maybe staging, deployment, post-sales support, archive, complete. So those are the ones that D3M, that we ship out of the box. This is what we give you to work with. But what I want to point out here is that you can easily change those. So you can delete any of these, you can modify, you can rename any of them, you can reorder them, you can move them around, and you can create new ones. So you're free to do whatever you want there. And by the way, I should point out at this point, if really when using D3M anytime, whether it is admin settings that you're working on or a project, please, bottom right corner, click on the chat bubble here. You can ask us questions anytime. If you have questions or feedback, please go ahead and just share with us there. And yeah, we're happy to help. We're here to help. So that's the statuses, very straightforward. And then, oh, notice that there's this status enabled or disabled option. So you could even disable this altogether if you didn't feel a need for it. And then the last part of this first tab, the general settings on your account, is offices. So we have an Ottawa, Canada office here, San Francisco, Toronto, and then I could easily add more offices. So you can add any number of offices that you operate out of to this list here. And then again, when creating a project, I'll just give you a quick view again. Remember this is one of the options there. I select the office that I'm working from. So you have total control over that. I could easily add one here, for example, let's say 123 Main Street, and that's in New York, USA. Simply save that. There's this little save icon there. Now I have a fourth option. Okay, so very easy to do that kind of thing. So let's move on. Next tab here, members. So members, pretty important, especially when first starting a D3M account. Some of you I know are more experienced with D3M than others. So some of you might be just getting started. And if you are, you probably want to add a few people to your account, invite team members if you haven't already. And this is where you manage that. So it's a pretty straightforward process. You have the two different options here. On your users, on these user accounts, they can either be an admin or they can be a user that does not have access to these admin settings. So one or the other. And so I can easily change this user, for example, to a user from an admin, or I can even remove that user, trash bin icon there, remove. Okay, simple as that. And down at the bottom here is where you add new users. So let's say I type an email address in here, and then again, select, will they be a user or an admin? I'll go admin, and I send them an invite. And it says here when I sent the invite and that it's pending, right? The other ones here you can see were approved, and they are now using D3M, using this D3M account. So this is simply where you manage all of that. Please let us know. Oh, by the way, you can see here, top right corner, it says the number of available user licenses on your account. So that's how many are still available. And that's basically it. That's everything on this page. So just let us know if you ever have any questions about any of that, and we're happy to help again. So then the next section is the project section. This is very similar to, if we go back to that first screen that everyone sees when they sign into D3M, it's basically the same thing. It's a list of all the projects on this account, but as an admin, you basically, you can view all the projects that were created on this account. So everything is listed here. You can filter in the normal ways that you would on that other page that you first see when you sign in. Filter by those statuses, filter by the office. On this page, you can also filter by the owner of the account. So you can find projects that belong to a certain team member. Again, you can search any details that you want to search there. You can easily search, you can sort and all of that. And then you have these options where you can transfer a project from one owner to another, and then the usual stuff where you can delete a project, you can manage other settings and stuff on the project. I'll just let this load. But here's where, yeah, you can add more users to the project and so on. So this is simply an admin view of that projects page. So I'll move on to the next section then. The next one here is library. Now this one you'll find, this is a very valuable feature in D3M, right? Our icon libraries, the manufacturer icon libraries, for example, Motorola and the other ones listed here. So we manage these icon libraries for you, and when you first get started with D3M, everything you need there, for example, if you're a Motorola dealer, all your Motorola products are there, ready to go. This is where you can see some of that stuff, like the Motorola library. If I open it up here, what I was going to say earlier is that this page tends to load a bit slower because it's loading a lot of information. So every icon available within D3M is listed here. And notice that these ones, if I hover over these icons, I get this red box that says vendor icons cannot be modified or reordered. So that means that the Motorola Solutions library, D3M, we manage that for you. So that means that you cannot edit the Motorola icon library or any other manufacturer icon libraries. We manage those for the dealers. But what you can also find here is one's icon libraries that you manage yourself. So this is an icon library that is shared throughout your company under the Organization Library tab. And I can find, for example, this one that we call generic. So at our organization here, we have this one where, you know, just a generic duplexer and dipole antenna and things like that. And a bunch of other stuff, our Teldio applications for Motorola Moto Turbo devices. All this stuff, we have a bunch of things listed here. I can easily do things like create a custom copy of this icon. I can edit this icon, the existing one here. I can delete it. So basically, I can manage what is found in this icon library. All of that is done here. And I'll show you some other things. You'll notice that we have these tabs, a few more tabs in this library section. So there are a few other things you can do here. That's the organization library. The next tab is the user library. So this is where an admin has visibility of all the different icons that individual users are saving to their account. Okay, so for example, I have users on my account, Amanda and Brina and Carl and Casey and myself and another Chris here and the rest of us. I can see who has created any custom icons, any modified icons that have been created on these user accounts. You can see the user icon libraries here. So hopefully that's clear. I'm sure that some of you will have some questions about that stuff. Feel free to ask those questions and we will answer them for you. But yeah, this is just to get visibility of what is in each user icon library. Now, related to that, in the third tab, if you look here, there's requested promotions. Those of you that may or may not know of this functionality, and what I'll do is I'm just going to go back to the normal user view here and kind of explain this. If I go into an icon library, okay, and if I were to, I'm just going to refresh the page for a second. What I'm going to show you is how from my individual user icon library, I have the option to promote an icon. and that means share it with my organization, share it with the whole company. And that is found under this second tab. So hopefully most of you are familiar with this. If I go to the second tab here, this is my library. These are my icons belonging only to me. I have not shared them with my company yet, with my organization. But there is an option down here, if say this laptop or this duplexer, I want to share this with the company. There's an option down here called Promote. And when I click on that Promote option, it says, do you want to request from your admin to promote this, to share this with the whole organization? Now, if any users do this, let's just hop back here to the admin settings. If any of your users do this, then you're going to see these requested promotions here. So here are your requested promotions, and my users, for example, Chris Sisto here and Kale, they have requested that these icons be promoted, which means added to the organization library. Basically, you have a thumbs up or thumbs down icon there, and you just accept it or not. If you were to accept it, like say this dispatch console, I want to accept it. I'll click the thumbs up, and then it says, yes, I want to promote. And this is where you can modify things a bit. If you want to modify the image, modify the ports, you as the admin are free to do that. And then you have this last bit where you can edit the properties and the values on those properties. And this part's really important, is where is this going to go? I mentioned earlier my generic icon library. The generic icon library is the one that where we keep our shared stuff, our shared icons. And so if that's where you want it to go, great, that's what should be showing here, but you could send it to some other shared icon library if you wanted, and then you put it in a certain category. So if we look at this, we have categories like this, antennas and filters and so on. So maybe I want to just leave that in the miscellaneous category. That's it, and then I could go ahead and save that. That's no longer showing here. If I were to go back to my organization libraries, again, it might take a minute to load, but I would find it in this generic shared icon library now. So again, I understand if anyone has any questions about all that, please go ahead and ask them, but that is how that works, and you as the admin have total control over this stuff. And then the last one I wanted to show you was the tab here, Library Management. And library management, again, just takes a minute to load here, but this is where you can either enable or disable the icon libraries, the manufacturer icon libraries that we here at D3M give to you. So any of these that you either want enabled or disabled, you just select here, select or deselect. So then I'll jump ahead to the templates. Templates, I think most of you know, and hopefully you're taking advantage of this, that you can create any number of document templates. So when a user is creating, any user on your account is creating a document, they get the option to select a template. So we give you some out of the box. We give you these template samples. Basically, we give you a sample of a network diagram template. We give you a sample of deployment checklist and things like that. So you can work from our templates and then kind of modify them and save your own version of it, or you can create something new here, create a new template. Either way, you'll end up with those templates here, and they're easily managed. Whether it says modified or it says published, that means that it is a published template. And if I were to click on any of these, like say this sales proposal, I'll just click on it, brings me into the document, and here I can make any edits I want. Of course, you drag and drop the things over here to the left, drag and drop them to the page. You can insert pages and so on. It's just normal editing of the document. But then when you're ready to save this as your template, you can, up here, you have the option to republish or unpublish. If you want to just save it as a draft for now, so it's not actually visible to your users, you can do that kind of thing too. So you have total control of your templates there. Just want to make sure that you're aware that this section exists. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And then the last thing here is the quote section. First of all, if you are using D3M, let's say I'm in a project here, and maybe just as a normal user in a project, you're unable to see the quote tab here. That probably means that quoting is not enabled on your account. So you need, any admin on your account needs to go to the admin settings here and enable quoting. So once it's enabled, then it'll be visible to everyone and people can start quoting. Of course, right here, this drop.csv file area, this is where you upload your pricing. We've discussed this before in previous webinars, but if you ever have any questions about uploading your pricing, please just click the chat bubble here. You can find help articles if you search the word Motorola, for example, or if you search the word pricing, you'll find our help article where in just a couple minutes, just a few steps, you can upload Motorola pricing and other pricing. We actually give you this CSV template here. I'll just show it to you quickly. This is how you upload your pricing. It's basically just 5 columns, your part number, the name of this quote part, the description, price, and cost. So anything that you put into a format like this in this CSV file can be dragged and dropped here, and you can do this any number of times. You can drag and drop 100 templates like that in here, and then what happens is all your part numbers and stuff are listed here, and you can edit using our user interface here. You can edit these things if need be. You can select multiple ones, and then perhaps you delete those selected ones, or you could start from scratch and delete everything that's listed here right now. Like I say, to start from a clean slate, you can edit price, edit cost, and things like that. So I currently have 164 quote parts listed there. Again, you can edit this stuff any number of ways, whether it's dragging and dropping a CSV file or editing one by one using the user interface here. And I just wanted to let you know that you have a few general settings here. You can set your currency to any currency you want. So that'll affect the symbol that shows up beside the numbers in your quote. And you can change the quote number prefix and the next quote number. So this is the invoice number basically that would show up. So you can edit that stuff. And then there are a couple options here I want to make sure everyone is aware of, that you can hide part numbers when quotes are added to a document. So that means that's something that people often want to turn on, and that's just so your customer is not comparing prices to other dealers. So you can turn that on or off if you want. And then you have this one other one here, allow users to change prices and create custom parts. So that means your sales reps or anyone else who is assembling a quote, having a quote automatically assembled from your diagram in D3M, can easily, they can basically edit things however they want. They can create new quote parts on the part numbers and other services and things. They can add anything they want on the fly. So that by default is turned on, but you can turn it off if you want to restrict that functionality. And that, I hope, was not too much information all at once, but that's all of the admin settings in a nutshell. And thanks for joining, and have a great day.